There are a number of reasons why you can say this is something that we shouldn't be talking about. What's Wright got to do with it? Because today, what I wanted to do was dive into a thought experiment that dives into both of these players here. Montreal Canadiens and Slovak superstar Juraj Slafkovsky and Shane Wright. The reason we are talking about these two guys is because of an article posted by Shayna Goldman on The Athletic yesterday. What's the future, best and worst case, for Slafkovsky and Wright? The Athletic is paywalled material, so we're not going to be able to showcase the actual article itself, but I wanted to get this thought train started and chugging along because I do think now is a pretty interesting time, more than ever, to dive into what both of these guys are and could be. But quick programming notes before we continue on with this commentary. Yeah, this video, as it follows our normal upload schedule, will be uploaded at 8:30 a.m. PST, which is almost exactly the same time that this Italy and Slovakia game is going to be on at the Olympics. Who knows, by the time this video is uploaded, maybe Slafkovsky has another hat trick. I'm probably not going to be awake to see it, but nevertheless, there still shall be some exciting times to be had. I'm not saying that Slav is guaranteed to go out there and have himself yet another multi-point, 3-point game like he had in Game 1 of the Olympics, but it's Italy. Actually, I shouldn't say that. They have some really good goaltending. Anyways, today we're talking about Slafkovsky, we're talking about Wright. Quick update on the standings, though. At the time of recording this audio, Slav, of course, has only played one game, 2 goals, 1 assist. By the time the video is up, maybe he has more points, who really knows. But at the time of recording this audio, he is tied for number 1 in the Olympics in points. Quite fitting, actually, that the points leaders are all first overall picks. Slafkovsky for Slovakia, Dahlin for Sweden, McDavid for Canada, and then you have everybody else. You've got quite a few 2-point scorers. You've got Matt Bradley for Team Italy. By the way, pretty quick trivia note for all of y'all Montreal Canadiens fans. Matt Bradley was a former Montreal Canadiens draft pick back in 2015. 131st overall. And the funny part is, if you go back to 2015 and you scroll all the way to Montreal taking Matt Bradley, you will see a very particular Kirill Kaprizov taken just 5 picks after. Yeah, what a boast that you could say for Montreal out of that transaction, eh? But either way, back to the topic at hand. Juraj Slafkovsky, of course, is playing for Team Slovakia at the Olympics. Shane Wright is not playing for Team Canada, and I don't think it was ever really going to be a conversation on if he would. There was no chance he makes the team. Wright this season in the National Hockey League has 22 points in 56 games played, on pace for 32 points over a full 82. That's notable because it is a decline from the 44 points that he had in 79 games last year. Now we are starting to see rumors pop out from various NHL insiders as to whether or not Shane Wright could be on the move. Seattle kind of coming to this understanding that they don't really do the best when it comes to developing prospects. Matty Beniers, I guess, is a top 6, maybe even a first-line center in some people's minds, but is he as good as he probably should have been? You can say no. I think that's fair. And the same could be applied to Wright as well. A guy that was supposed to be taken first overall back in 2022, until he slipped all the way down to 4. Wright is now 22 years old, and he still hasn't found what makes things click at the National Hockey League level yet to ascend to the same point production dominance levels that he had back in the OHL. Now, heading back over to the article, what's the future best and worst case scenario for Slafkovsky and Wright? What I thought was really interesting was the fact that this article was posted yesterday, right in the midst of the Olympic Games, and also the fact that this article was posted onto the Montreal Canadiens subreddit. It's funny because Habs fans don't really care too much about this idea, and you could see that in the comments section below. I'm all for pumping up Slafkovsky, but what does Wright have to do with it? The Habs and other teams passed on Wright. It's over now. Can't we just be happy with what Slafkovsky is doing without bringing down another player for no real reason? For real. I get that it was a big thing back then, but we don't need a Shane wrong or Shane who every time Slafkovsky does something great. Man, I love that phrasing, Shane wrong. And the reason I love it is because it makes for a very quick and easy to digest thumbnail. We literally used it back in the day. Shane wrong. No Montreal, no New Jersey, no Arizona. There is a pretty clear reason as to why Wright went fourth anyway, but still. Habs fans are, generally speaking, not here for it. And I'll try to answer that myself. What does Wright have to do with it? Well, it's because there still is a pretty big buzz on Shane Wright as a future NHL superstar. And the funny part is, every time we talk about him here on this YouTube channel, there are people that come to those videos and let me know their opinions in the comment section, and that indicates to me that this is a hot enough topic to keep on bringing up. So I'm not going to go out there and shade Shayna Goldman for going out there and writing this article. Juraj Slafkovsky thrives on the international stage. Slafkovsky and Slovakia, they aren't a frontrunner in this year's Olympic Games. The team entered the tournament with less than a 1% chance of reaching the gold medal game, and only a 27% chance of topping Finland in its opening game. While Slafkovsky is one of 7 NHLers on Slovakia's roster, this is the perfect setting for him to excel. And that's exactly what he did, with a dominant 2-goal, 3-point performance that helped power his underdog team to a 4-1 win against Finland on Wednesday. Let's go out there and read some of the other comments over here. Can we stop talking about Shane Wright? He didn't go first. So what? It's still early to tell if he is a bust or not. And we didn't draft him. I'd never seen such an infatuation with a player that has nothing to do with our franchise. Montreal, New Jersey, Arizona, they all passed on Shane Wright. Seattle has been a very mediocre team run by a coach who can't develop players. I say this because Beniers should have been an offensive weapon, and is largely playing a good defensive role, but has fallen off the face of the earth in terms of hype. Slaf is currently the leading scorer in men's Olympic hockey with 2 goals, and Shane Wright, of course, is not in the tournament. Here's the thing with Wright. If I had to try to project things long-term, while it is very easy to say that Slafkovsky is the better player now and is going to continue being the better player, I don't want to totally discredit guys at 22 years old. You know, it's tough to do that. Shane Wright is not on a really nice path at the moment. It doesn't look like he is ascending in the same way that prior first overall picks had. And I'm not even just talking about the ones that were super hot fire right out of the gate, like the McDavids and the Matthewses, and even the second overall picks like the Laines and the Eichels. But there were some first overall picks in previous years that took a little bit of time to get going. You can say that Jack Hughes is one of the main ones. You can say that Juraj Slafkovsky or even Connor Bedard can be included in that conversation too. Shane Wright, at 22 years old already, is quite concerning when you look at the decline, but the fact that Seattle is Seattle, it becomes very difficult to say that he has been developed properly at this stage of his career. If everything works out, and if everything mentally for Wright starts to click in the ways like we thought it would back when he was a draft-eligible prospect, I do still think an 80-point ceiling per year is possible for Wright. Whether or not that's actually going to happen, I'd say maybe at this point, maybe there's like a 25% chance of that happening, 30% chance. It's not particularly low, but it's definitely not high. Slafkovsky, on the other hand, I mean, he's already on pace for 65 points this season, and that's after a pretty meh first half of the year. Copy and paste story for Juraj Slafkovsky, always coming alive in the second half of the year. But now with the Olympics going on, this is a full-on opportunity for him to take things into his own hands and learn how it feels to be one of the best offensive players on a team. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Shane Wright and Juraj Slafkovsky conversation? What, 4 years after the fact? We are still talking about these two guys, and I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.